that we're sitting all the way down in the seat and that the seat fits us nice and snug. That's why we have a variety of different carts behind us, not because any of them are better or different than the others. They all have different seat sizes in them. So you're not sitting in a seat that he might fit in and you're sloshing around. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
No offense. Exactly. Or vice versa, right? He's trying to get into your seat and he's sitting on top of the car, right? It ain't going to happen. Exactly. So we want to make sure those seats are fitting nice and snug, and so nobody's walking out of here, you know, hurting or anything. So now that we're sitting down in the cart, we have what we call our cockpit in our shifter cart, right? Which consists of 3 different things. Clutch lever, shifter, and our steering wheel. Now, if you notice when I went to grab this clutch lever, it doesn't seem like it's attached to anything, right? It's because it's not. And we don't use the clutch at all during the course of this class. None whatsoever. It's not going to be necessary to make upshifts, downshifts, to start or stop. We're going to do a push start scenario with you guys. So these carts will be in neutral. We're going to push off, and you're just going to simply click it into first gear and take off nice and slow. Okay? They're not set up to idle by any means either. So when you're going to come into the pits, you're just going to be back down into first gear. You're going to drive straight into where you're going to stop, and you're just going to stop. It'll stop nice and smooth for you. No problems there. So we don't have a clutch. Then we have our shift lever on the right-hand side. Okay. Now, if you have driven a dirt bike before, these motors are all sequential shifting gearboxes. Okay. Does anybody know what a sequential shift gearbox is?
No.
Which means, okay, so have you driven a manual car before?
Yeah, I have a manual car.
Okay, so in a manual car, it's like an H pattern, right? You could look down and see if you're in third, and you could go from third to first if you wanted to, or first to third if you wanted to. In a sequential shifting box, you can't go from first to 6th gear without going 1 through 5.
Gotcha.
They're all in order, exactly. Which keeps everything pretty simple, but you have to go through all the gears to get there. In the dirt bike, it was 1 down, and then all the rest of your gears were up in the gearbox with your lever on your foot. This is exactly the same thing, except for in these, it's going to be 1 forward, which I'm already in now, and then all the rest of your shifts are going to be backwards towards you. Upshifting is going to be backwards, okay? So we're going to make our shifts. Now, that being said, sequential gearbox, right? So how are we going to possibly know what gear we're in? How do you think we're going to know where we're at in that gearbox on a given point in the track?
Like a normal standard, your RPM start moving up too high?
Kind of. The biggest thing is if we're in first gear, we can't possibly go any further forward with the gearbox, right?
Yeah.
So it's going to be firm forward. Now on the other side of things, if we're in 6th gear, like we are now, right, the lever is going to be firm backwards. It's not going to give you a click sensation at all. You're not going to be able to pull it backwards. Now, given the fact that you've lifted the shift, it's going to be firm back. Those are our only 2 recognition points in the gearbox, is 1st and 6th. We will always get up to 6th gear on the front straightaway. That is where you will reset every single time. Every lap you make, you will always get to 6th gear on the front straightaway. And then there's going to be a shift count throughout the rest of the track, which we'll go over later. You don't need to worry about that right now at all. But that's how you're going to know where you're at in the gearbox. Now, as far as the steering wheel, the biggest thing is we want to make sure that we're maintaining a 10 and 2 or 11 and 3, whatever's the most comfortable to you. That's going to give you all of the steering input you need to get all the way around the track, okay? So you're not going to be needing to shift your hands or anything like that. That's going to get you all the way around. The biggest thing is we want to make sure that we're maintaining a nice straight up and down posture. These carts don't have any suspension on them, so it's not going to do us any good to throw our weight around or shift our hands. When making our turns, we always want to make sure we're emphasizing on the push, not the pull. So if you're steering the cart mostly with your pull hand, you're going to wear yourself out a lot faster, okay? As who got tired driving those carts just now for that main event? You guys are screwed. Excuse me. Anyway, it's going to be even more, okay? Now, who unclenched their hands at any point during that last race? Yeah? Well, good. That's what you want to do. Keeps the blood flowing. You get tired a lot, not near as fast, okay? I always unclench my hands once a lap on the straightaway. You don't have to take it off the wheel, just let go for a second. If you're white knuckling it the whole time and you're squeezing the steering wheel as hard as you possibly can, you're gonna get what's called arm pump, just like with the dirt bike riders. If you're clenching as hard as you can, you don't get any blood to your hands, to the rest of your arms, and you get tired really fast, okay? Firm, but looser grip on the steering wheel, and emphasize on the push, not the pull, okay? You guys will be just fine. So, to go over shifting real quick.